This is a new day. This is a new day full of sound, light, and expectation. This day has been waiting for you. This day has been waiting just for you, to embrace you, to guide you. This day has been waiting with open arms just for you. This is the day that we have been given. Let us not waste it. Come now and let us worship together. Good morning. We're so happy you can be with us today, whether it is on Facebook, Zoom, or later on YouTube, or right here in person. What a joy it is to be together. I will not lie to you, there are a lot of announcements this morning. We're going to start with one from Reverend Joseph.
Good morning, everyone. I know many of us have been following the conflict in Ukraine with Russia, and our church will respond, and our response will be peace. And so there are many ways we can respond as a community. If you happen to live in Youngstown, we've been invited to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church on North Bella Vista today at 3 p.m. to join the Ukrainian community in Youngstown for a prayer vigil. I'll be there. If you can make it and you're in the area, please join us. Also, there's going to be a weekly peace vigil at the courthouse in downtown Youngstown every Friday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. every Friday until the war ends. I will be there. You're welcome to join me if you are able to be there. And our Give Away the Plate committee has done a wonderful job of partnering with United Help Ukraine to offer funding to families who are affected by this, both in the U.S. and directly in the Ukraine, seeking asylum, seeking shelter, and needing support. So please give generously. That link is going to be online on Facebook, on our page, in the order of service, and in the weekly update. So you'll find it there, United Help Ukraine. I'm sure there are going to be various ways that we can respond as a community, and again, we are in good company, joining many in the world who are seeking peace.
There is a new in-person heart-to-heart group available that begins this Wednesday, March the 2nd. The group will meet at 2 p.m. We only have one person signed up for that so far, so we would really like to get some more. Our other two groups are, one of them is full and the other one might have 2 spots left on the Thursday night group. So you can sign up online. There should be a link right there that says Heart to Heart. So we are looking for some help in our religious exploration classroom, especially so that I might have one Sunday a month off from being with the children and maybe do something like be in the choir. How wonderful it would be to let our children know that they are welcomed in our congregation by helping them learn and grow and explore in this glorious faith. Contact me to sign up. And completely connected to that announcement is this one. There will not be a Chalice Chapel class today because I'm here. Children are invited to remain in the service with us today and enjoy the time for all ages. It will take place throughout the service today. Attention newcomers and recent visitors far and near. We will be offering 2 newcomer circles today and next Sunday. These informal gatherings are a way for new people to get to know a bit about the activities at UUYO, what we do, and what we believe. It's a fun way for us to begin to know each other. Newcomer circles are brief introductions and generally last no more than 30 minutes. Join us today via Zoom immediately following the worship service and discussion, or next Sunday, March the 6th, immediately following the service at the church. The March date will be our first face-to-face newcomer circle in a long, long time. And then, along those lines as well, coffee hour next Sunday. Join us next Sunday, March 6th in Channing Hall for the first post-shutdown coffee hour. We will share coffee, tea, and conversation while maintaining safe social distances and observing appropriate mask wearing. We believe that faith is a journey we take together. Religious exploration takes a lifetime. It happens both within and beyond a congregation's walls. We support one another as individuals, families, and communities in an ongoing search for truth and meaning. We strive to guide one another, all ages among us, in religious questioning, personal change, and discovering ways to better live in faith. An important step on that journey is our acknowledgement that our church occupies the ancestral land of the Osage and the Erie tribes. We pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, and their stewarding of the land throughout the generations. We recognize and mourn the often deadly harm inflicted on the indigenous people of this country. We lift up their grace, resilience, and their relationship with the sacred lands. And so we come to love generously, seek truth, and serve the world. We come today to explore some ways that we may widen the circle. We come to hear stories and to sing with one another the songs in our hearts. And so we come together as a community with minds that are open and hearts that are ready to receive.
When we worship associates met last month to brainstorm on the theme of the month, widening the circle, I thought about the fact that widening the circle needs to take place within ourselves before or simultaneously with including outsiders. I went back to a time when David Leonard was minister here some 20 years ago, and we had a discussion on the limits of tolerance among UUs. And I asked whether it was possible to make UUYO a safe space for Republicans. A groundswell of no's issued from those in attendance. And although I have identified as a Democrat for as long as I could identify politically, it pained me to find good friends with strong values and questing souls excluded from our conversation. Our Congress finds itself at a standstill politically, and our country finds itself on the brink of new conflicts in far-off lands. Where do we find the strength for new alliances for peace and nonviolence? Can we minister to the wounds within the bodies of our enemies while simultaneously not finding ourselves under attack? We light the chalice today in a spirit of radical hospitality with the words of the poet Edward Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the will to win. We drew a circle, then let me in. Thank you.
Hi, Moody. Welcome to our congregation as our newest member. I wanted to share with you today's story and maybe get your thoughts on my selection.
Oh, hi there, everybody. Thank you. I'll do my best. Hello to everyone.
Moody, are you there? We can hardly hear you.
I'm here. Can't you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I will try my best. I'm glad to be a new member.
Well, before we get started, I did have one question that has sort of been bothering me. Have you read the 7 or 8 UU principles and committed them to memory yet?
I can't read.
Well, that brings me to my next question regarding the first principle of our church, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Moody, this is a little awkward, but you're not a person. So can we really widen the circle to let you into our congregation?
Oh, now you really hurt my feelings. Or don't you think I have any feelings either?
Oh, Moody, I'm so sorry. I think this needs to be a longer discussion for another day. But let me just quickly jump to our third principle to make you feel better, which says acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation. I most certainly mean to include you in the story and welcome any input you may have from your little tiny stuffed bear brain, you and your feelings.
Oh, now I feel so much better. Now you're showing some compassion.
Compassion. Yes, as does our story, Moody. It's called The Good Samaritan, and it's about how we can be kind to each other, even if many beliefs and nationalities and other differences between us are not the same.
Now you're talking. I'm very interested.
And just one more thing. This is a story that came from Christian belief, and many of us were not raised Christians. In fact, I never once heard this story while I was growing up. But I chose it for its valuable lesson, knowing that we find valuable lessons in many religions and backgrounds and countries, even if they are very different from ours. There is always something we can learn from listening to their stories.
Oh, great. Can we get on with the story now?
Actually, Moody, this might be a good time to recite our covenant.
Please join me in reciting the covenant of our church. Love is the spirit of this church, and service belong. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Okay. Once a man was walking on a lonely stretch of road between Jerusalem and Jericho. Suddenly, a gang of robbers jumped out from the side of the road and surrounded him. "Give us your money," they demanded. "I need my money," he cried. "I have to buy food with this money for my whole family." One of the robbers picked up a rock from the side of the road and hit the man in the head. He fell to the ground with a groan, bleeding. Seeing no one around, the thieves jumped on the man and took everything he had, including his money and his clothing. One of them picked up a stick and hit the man hard several times before leaving him on the side of the road, half dead.
Oh, this is very violent. Maybe we should ban this story from schools and libraries. Maybe we should even ban all of the books that contain them. I don't think I want to hear anymore.
Wait, Moody. I think you're really going to like how it turns out. Anyway, it's from a book called the Bible, so maybe we should keep it.
I'll reserve judgment.
After a time, a priest came walking down the road. He saw the man lying on the side of the road and crossed over to the other side as he hurried by. Soon another man, a Levite, appeared. He too saw the wounded man lying in the hot sun, naked and bleeding. He scurried by.
Not very compassionate.
No, it is not very compassionate, but it also gets worse. A long time passed. Flies buzzed around the man who was dying from his injuries, and now someone else was coming down the road. He was a Samaritan, riding on his donkey. Now, the people of Samaria were not friendly with the people of this man's country. In fact, they were sworn enemies of each other.
Oh.
Moody, you're looking very uncomfortable. This might be a good time to pause our story and talk about a way that we are compassionate right here in our church.
This month, February 2022, was we designated Give Away the Plate recipient as the Academy for Urban Scholars, Youngstown High School. The Academy for Urban Scholars is an official public charter educational institution through the Department of Education of Ohio. AUSY provides high school diplomas from a non-traditional perspective. Their educational strategies are designed to eliminate barriers that prevent students from attending school, provide life skills assistance, promote career development, and assist with job placement. The current staff at AUS is dedicated to maximizing students' achievements through character development, community engagement, mentoring, and promoting blended learning outcomes. The Academy for Urban Scholars is currently launching a music instrument donations campaign. They are working to construct a functional music program that will include a music theory course for their scholars. They are now accepting music instrument donations of all kinds to ensure their scholars are equipped with the necessary tools for to become successful musicians. We will now receive, well, actually, we have the additional Give Away the Plate, which Reverend Joseph told you about, which has to do with the United Ukraine Support Ukraine Fund. And you can find the information about that in your order of service online and through Facebook. We will now receive the offering that supports the life of this church, the Mahoning Valley, and our wider world.
Now let's get back to our story.
Oh, good. Well, now we're probably going to find out that this Samaritan person beat the poor guy worse than those robbers ever did. God.
Well, Moody, the Samaritan man did not hesitate when he saw the man lying on the side of the road. He didn't stop to think about whether he should help him. You see, the Samaritan did not care where the hurt man was from or what group he belonged to. He saw that this man needed help, and he felt compassion. Remember, Moody, the story is called The Good Samaritan.
Hooray!
The Samaritan took healing oil and wine from his bag and cleaned the man's wounds and bound them up with bandages made from the cloth of his own shirt. He covered him with the robe. He gave the man a drink of water and helped the man onto his donkey. Slowly, for the man was in great pain and the road was long, they walked to the next town. There the Samaritan found an inn and asked the innkeeper to give him what was necessary to make the man comfortable and to help with the healing. The next day, the Samaritan gave money to the innkeeper to pay for the wounded man to stay at the inn until he got better. The Samaritan promised to come back in a few days and pay whatever else was needed to bring the man back to health.
I love stories with happy endings.
Well, what do you think the story means, Moody?
I think it means that we should show kindness to one another when, even when who is thought of as an enemy. That's more important to be kind than being right. And I'm sure the Samaritan feels better too, because maybe being kindness is more important than being right.
Yes, Moody, you really got this. It was such a pleasure sharing this story with you.
A caring heart is one that listens. And that was the third man, the man who showed kindness. Maybe we should all go and do the same.
Right again, Moody. I call that radical hospitality. Moody, I think you are going to fit in quite nicely in this church. Up next, we are going to have a special song I know you will love, and I hope you will stick around with us for the rest of the service.
Hey everybody, come sing a song with me. Here's our note. La. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll sing a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. A rose in the winter time. Thank you.
Our reading today is entitled It's Hard Work by Rosemary Bray McNeil with a quote from Joseph 2:26. For just as the body without the spirit is dead, faith without works is also dead. Why are we all talking about inclusivity and diversity when we have done so little to make it real? Why are we still looking pained at the lack of diversity in our denomination? Because diversity, inclusivity is terribly hard, terribly uncomfortable, definitely unsettling, and often quite frustrating. What I know about in being inclusive, moving from culture to culture, learning the language of diversity, is that it's the work of a lifetime. It's hard to accept people who are not like you, who don't talk the way you do, or believe the things you believe, or dress or vote as you do. It's even harder to appreciate them for the things about them that are not like you, to find them interesting and fun, to enjoy the learning that's part of the experience, and to acknowledge finally that you may have to agree to disagree. The truth is this: if there is no justice, there will be no peace. We can read Thoreau and Emerson to one another, quote Rilke and Alice Walker and Howard Thurman, and think good and noble thoughts about ourselves. But if we cannot bring justice into the small circle of our own individual lives, we cannot hope to bring justice into the world. And if we do not bring justice into the world, none of us is safe, and none of us will survive. Nothing Unitarian Universalists need to do more is more important than making justice real where we are. Hard as diversity is, it is our most important work.
There is more love somewhere. Sometimes you can find it on the side of the road when a stranger offers help to a fellow human being, like we heard in the story of the Good Samaritan. I recently finished watching the television series Lost. In the story, there is a plane crash on a remote island. While battling the elements and tending to their basic needs of health, food, and shelter, the survivors encounter characters labeled as others. They are a secretive group of island dwellers whom they regard as the enemy. The others have evidently been living on the island for many years, long before the crash of Flight 815 in 2004, or even the arrival of a scientific expedition on the island in the 1970s. The others do not appear to have a name for themselves, though they describe themselves as the good guys. Members of the scientific expedition refer to the group as hostiles or natives. As the story progresses and more characters appear on the island, each separate group considers each of the other groups as others. Eventually, as a viewer, it's impossible to tell the others from the others. For 6 seasons, 121 episodes, all the characters fight amongst themselves, not realizing for the entire time they are all lost together. When they finally begin to love and care for one another, help one another against the real evil of the island, and let go of their hatred, they are finally free. At the beginning of February, I received an offer for a free trip for 2 to Atlantic City. The thought of a quiet hotel room, a pool, and a hot tub seemed like just the thing for my birthday. So I went on the trip and took my longtime best friend Barbara from Tucson, Arizona with me. I was right. It was a great idea. But the dining choices were quite limited for someone on my tight budget, so one early evening we decided to get on a bus and seek out a place called the Irish Pub. My friend and I were seated just 1 row up from the back of the bus. We were very excited about our plans, and we talked rather loudly about where we were going and how we would get there once we got off the bus. To be honest, we really had no idea where we were supposed to get off the bus in the first place. In the middle of our conversation, there came a voice from behind us that advised us, "No, you don't want to be getting off there, girl." Then the woman and her 2 friends told us all about where to get off, where to walk and not walk, and how to get back to our hotel safely. They talked about living and working in the neighborhood and included us in their own conversation. When Barbara and I got off the bus, I turned to her and said, "Those ladies sure were nice." And Barbara responded, "And why wouldn't they be?" This is when I realized that I was surprised because the 3 nice ladies were black. And even though I have led many classes on racial equality, have been a supporter of racial justice, and marched for racial justice and equality my entire life, I still thought of these nice ladies as others. Now, I cannot know what they really thought of my friend and I. Perhaps to them, we may also have been others. However, they still cared for our safety, our well-being, and showed us love and compassion, just like the Good Samaritan. That is radical hospitality. There is more love somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more justice somewhere. We say we are committed to being a welcoming community. We say we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of all. We say we promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We say we believe in acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. We say our goal is world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We say that we are all connected. The Reverend Dr. Marilyn Sewell is Minister Emerita of the First Unitarian Church in Portland, Oregon, where she served for 17 years before her retirement in 2009. In her sermon on the topic of radical hospitality, she leads the following exercise that I would like for us to do together now. Close your eyes. Imagine that I am describing some people who might actually visit our church. And imagine to what extent they might feel welcomed. A young woman with an infant in her arms. The baby is screaming loudly in the middle of the sermon. A Native American with long dark hair comes in. A man from a Pentecostal background waves his hands in the air during the singing of Spirit of Life. A beautifully bedecked woman in a flowered print dress with matching high heels and purse. She is 6'4", tall, and clearly transgender. A person who speaks out of turn and can't follow the hymns. He seems to be mentally ill. A well-dressed couple. The man has an American flag in the lapel of his suit, and they have their Bibles with them. A homeless man who has not bathed in a week. A woman with a guide dog. A serviceman back from Iraq in uniform, visiting with his aunt and uncle. A 21-year-old who just graduated from a college in Los Angeles and moved here to find his first job. He knows no one in town. He is African American. And I added this last one. A man in his early 60s wearing a red Trump hat. Can we honestly say that we are welcoming to each of these persons? Would we be like the Good Samaritan and reach out a hand of kindness to each of them? Now, there is an 8th principle adopted by the UUA. It reads, we, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying toward spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. I've heard that this congregation voted to adopt the 8th principle a couple of years ago. Now, I'm new here, as you all know, but I have heard some of the good things that have happened here and are still taking place, thanks in large part to Reverend Joseph's leadership. And I'll not pretend that I know everything this congregation has done concerning issues of racial justice. But I am curious to know why that 8th principle is not on our website. For that matter, the website at the UUA, UUA.org, has not added it to their list of principles either. Are we ready to go public? Are we ready for this in our congregation? Are we ready to take this ambitious declaration into the community? It's hard work. It takes more than just talking about it. Radical hospitality takes action. As a lifelong religious educator, I know we cannot tackle all of these issues at once. I would like to propose that we undertake 2 actions over the next year. Number 1, welcoming more families or single parents with young children into our congregation. Reverend Gary Kowalski says this about children. Children widen the circle of our being in ways that are limitless. Every baby that's born connects us to our history, our own parents, grandparents, and unknown forebears who brought new life to the world in each successive generation. Every baby that's born links us to the future, to a world yet to come that belongs to our descendants and that we hold in trust for our prosperity, whom we will never know. Each child connects us to nature, to the innocence and exuberance of a world always hatching newborns, kittens and pups and lambs and babes. Each child reminds us of the kinship we share with people of other lands and races who love their young as purely and tenderly as we do. Each child connects us to the universe, to the holy mysteries of birth and death and becoming, from which we all emerge. And we know, without children, without new life to carry on our work, this church will not continue. Number 2, welcoming people of color into our congregation. I mentioned the 8th principle, shared the story about the bus ride in Atlantic City and the exercise by Reverend Sewell, not to point the finger or to lay blame. Reparationsforslavery.com advises, perhaps the most important thing white people can do is to be socially and emotionally aware of our impact on people of color in our neighborhoods, workplaces, schools, and public institutions. The first step is self-knowledge, self-reflection. I talk about these things because I know that whether we intend to or not, whether we know it or not, we all have some biases against others. And for us to be a welcoming congregation to everyone, we must first recognize these biases in ourselves. But then what? How do we welcome people of color? Chris Crass, social justice educator and author, offers this advice. To become an anti-racist faith community, the key question for a white majority community is not how do we get people of color to join our faith community. It is instead, how can we make a prolonged, spiritually rooted, engaged commitment to uprooting white supremacy within our community and take ongoing collective action to challenge it in society? There is that word again, action. It takes action. He goes on further to say, our goal is not to have white people sit alongside a person of color so as to affirm that those white people aren't racist. Our goal is to build and be a part of beloved community, united to end structural oppression and unleash collective liberation. Our goal is to join our hearts and minds to the task of destroying white supremacy in every worldview, policy, law, institution, and governing body of our society. To be radically welcoming means more than just being nice and friendly when others show up. It means seeking them out where they live, and I do mean in the literal sense. I am all for knocking on doors and handing out flyers. Really, I am. But also, I mean figuratively. That is, find out what people need, whether it be food, childcare, jobs, justice, a place to live, and work with them, just like we say in our principles. And just like the Good Samaritan, we do not just help them on their feet and dust them off and be on our way. The Good Samaritan saw to it that the man continued to get better and had all his needs met long after that first day. When we are truly welcoming and when we truly care for others, that care reaches beyond our church walls. And after we seek them out, we need to give them a reason to come back again and again and to stay. We need to tell stories, sing songs, and teach about things that speak to them. We need to offer them a safe and loving place for their children. We need to invite them to tell stories, songs, and teach. We need to ask them how we can be better, to let them know that we want to hear from them, that their stories matter. And so I want to work with you in all of this. I am ready, and I think we are ready. We want this to be a place where people of all beliefs, all ages, all colors, all genders come and stay to raise their families. Maybe then we can say with confidence that we offer radical hospitality here, and that yes, there is more love somewhere. and it is right here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Youngstown, Ohio. Please join me in a spirit of prayer. Holy mystery, silent presence, uncertain bearer of the weight of it all, in these quiet moments we listen. We listen for the maybe still breathing, perhaps still whispering, faintest sign of the universal good. We listen between the cacophony of distractions pulling us towards untruth and falsehood. We listen amidst the shrill cries of desperation, of we've had enough, of when will they stop killing my people, of how much more will the waters rise, of when will it be safe to return to my home, of how much longer can I hang on. We listen and we wait. Through the tumult of these days, we seek assurance. We seek the fulfillment of a promise made to ourselves, a promise made to those who have been stretched to call neighbor, a promise written and enshrined and yet unfulfilled. Help us, abiding mystery, to hang on, to hold on when all is in question, when all is in doubt. Help us to stay firm to our own commitments and our own promises. Lead us back into connection, back into the bonds of humanity that help us to know each other as beloved. May we continue listening. May we keep watch. May we beckon love and justice and mercy with our own whispers, with our own shouts, with our cries, until all know themselves part of the circle of love. Amen.
Extinguish this flame, in the words of Maddie Cephantis. But we keep its light in our heart with the message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls, the world in which we live, until we are together again.
As you leave here today, commit to more love, more peace, and more justice for all. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be blessed. May you be whole. And as always, remember this one truth. You are never alone in the human condition. There is a love that cares for all. May I be filled with loving kindness.